Welcome to another episode of Dr. Brook on the Block. It's time to grab a seat, buckle up, and take a ride with me through the wild, wild west of the Web3 universe, where we're going to learn all about coins and tokens, NFTs and contracts, digital real estate and the metaverse, and so much more. There's a lot to get through on the block, but I am here to pave the way and help you avoid those nasty pitfalls and rug pulls so you don't get hurt. I'm going to also introduce you to some interesting characters along the way. Are you ready? Your ride starts now. What's up, everybody? Dr. Brook taking you on another ride around the block. And today I am joined in the co-pilot seat with Simon. Simon is an engineer turned crypto mentor and educator. He has been in the crypto space for 5 years and is a Defi expert. His coaching programs are designed to accelerate your crypto knowledge and elevate your wealth mindset in order to make life-changing amounts of money. If you guys know me and know what I teach and how I loved this space and are really involved in it, you know that I'm super excited for this conversation with Simon. And before I lose my voice in the very beginning, Simon, welcome.
Hey, Brooke, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Absolutely. So I know that you are really educating people all about really what it is to have an investment mindset. So you and I are sitting here in the middle of June. We're going through an incredible amount of bear market uncertainty in the markets, a lot of ups and downs and all kinds of sideways turns. And it could be very, emotional for a lot of people. And on a lot of other prior episodes, I've talked about just like calming down, getting centered, really kind of like allowing that prefrontal cortex, the reasoning portion of the brain to turn on. So you don't start making emotional decisions and you can be very rational in when you do things. So first off, because I know that is a big piece that you talk about, and I love that we connected on Instagram and I saw that, I was like, this is the perfect person for the show. But first, let's talk about 5 years ago when you first got into the space. What was that introductory period for you like?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so when you come to crypto, I guess everybody has their period where they go down the rabbit hole kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I guess the interesting thing about crypto is that for most, it's this whole new opening of the mind about financial systems and what is money. And people ask questions that they never asked before. So for me to get into that space, I was always interested in investing. Being an engineer in my background, I've always had numbers in my mind. So I always used real estate as a vehicle for passive income. And crypto was obviously on the minds of a lot of people in 2017, just like it was last year when we were having the boom cycle. So that kind of got me interested into it. And yeah, you very much so go down that rabbit hole of what crypto is. And some people are very much so in it for the tech and that kind of idea. I do like the idea of that. And I think a lot of people sit there and can see the future of what blockchain can do for us. But you've got to be realistic. A lot of people are in it for the money as well. And so it's interesting parallels of, learning about money, learning about financial systems, learning about, how central banks kind of all work is all part of the fabric that people don't ask. So that, really tweaked my interest, the numbers aspects of it, the passive income potential aspects of it, just the freedom that having, the money that you can potentially make from this market. And so for me, my why did I get into it was because I've got young little kids and I didn't want them to be, during the school holidays, I wanted to be able to be with them all the time. So that gave me my why, that gave me my, ability to chase this and really go deep into this. And because of that, yeah, I've been very successful in the space. But not everyone has to be that deep in it to be, really successful, which is the great thing I think about this opportunity right now with blockchain is that, you don't have to become a full-on expert in this to still make some life-changing amounts of money. And that's, life-changing amounts of money is different for everyone. But yeah, it's just an interesting space for everyone to get into and to really learn about a whole financial system.
So when you say 5 years ago, you went down the rabbit hole and you started learning a lot about Web3, the blockchain space, cryptocurrency back in 2017. What do you find? Because a lot of my listeners are people that are really curious about the space and maybe like looking to onboard. My biggest mission is onboarding people successfully into it and not just having people watching random YouTube videos and seeing people shilling coins and telling them get in. And then it's like a big rug pull at the end of it. What do you think was the biggest like turning point or the like difficulty in you in the challenge in kind of going from that 2017 first initial, like piqued interest into the space to actually getting to the point at which you're at now? Like, what was that journey like?
Yeah, sure. So it's interesting, like the term Web3 didn't exist back then. We
Right.
didn't use those terms. Terms like DeFi didn't really exist back then. They were all kind of ideas that were, bumbling away in the back of people's minds, but we didn't have working products. It wasn't actually, as it is now, where we can actually see these applications coming to life. It was hopes and dreams back then. I think Bitcoin was around and the money was there, so people found the sound money aspect of that existed. But with Ethereum going through its ICO booms, people were making dreams, and people were buying into the dream. So I think that kind of got me to a degree. Is you sit there and saying, we can free people from, I guess, banking systems, and most people don't realize that they need that to a degree, and especially in Western worlds, we don't really understand what it's like to be, unbanked, or the ability for banks to even freeze your funds, because it doesn't really happen for us. So it's not as big of a need for us. But for me, the idea of financial freedom was a big part of it. And that doesn't necessarily mean just the sovereignty that you get by holding Bitcoin, but it was also the ability to have a passive income stream that I didn't need to, extend my time or, 9 to 5 doing a job to get that income coming in. So when I looked at it, I saw the potential for the capital gains. I saw the potential for passive income. And I saw the potential for me to, not have to work a 9 to 5 engineering job anymore. So that's really what got me into it, because I'd gone down that path through investment properties. But for me, crypto was a faster way to get there.
But would you say that it was an immediate thing that happened, or was it something that you bought into early on and then you gradually watched it kind of build as you went along? Because I definitely don't want people walking away with the understanding, especially in today's market right now. It's not a matter of being able to create like this immense amount of wealth in a short period of time. Years, yes, it can absolutely be done. In a 2-week period, the likelihood is very, very low. It's just a matter of playing your cards correctly right now. And I think that that's what's important about people being educated correctly. So in your, I guess, do you want to speak on that at all? About that? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think that's part of what gets people into it. The people are innately greedy, let's face it. So people see crypto as this get rich quick scheme.
Yes.
And it's not. It's probably get rich quicker than most other asset classes out there. But you kind of get what you put into it. It's kind of like, I like to use the analogy is that if you want to be a good musician, playing a guitar 1 hour a week is not going to do it. So if you want to do really well in crypto, doing it 1 hour of it a week, it's not going to, make you incredibly wealthy. The difference being is that if you put 1 hour a week into just learning about Bitcoin and Ethereum, then in 5 to 10 years, it can actually probably make you quite wealthy. So that's the unique thing about this asset class, is that if you've got that longer term vision, you don't need to put huge amounts of hours into learning this to become an expert in it, for you still to be able to make some, some pretty amazing, changes in your life. And I think that's what's unique about it. That doesn't exist in any other asset class. So I think, the opportunity is there for people to make good money, but you don't have to become an expert to be able to achieve that, which is unique.
Right. It just takes some education time and some devoted attention to understanding terminology. It's interesting that you say that there was no real terminology in 2017 like there is now. And I think a lot of people entering the space now, and I'm only like 18 months in on my journey, so you've gotten quite a bit of years underneath me as well. But there's a lot more terminology that seems like jargon to most people. And so they have a hard time learning things because there's a lot of just verbiage being thrown around. Like, what does airdrop mean? What is and tokens and these, and how do I utilize this? And so I think it's important to like really understand, and I think this is something that you're saying, because cryptocurrency is built upon blockchain technology. And so it's really where the crypto market could be going to quote unquote zero. Do I agree with that? No. Are people trying to say that? Yes. But really, if you understand or have a good idea, and I really want to start shifting into the mindset aspect of it, but if you understand fundamentally how blockchain technology is shifting the way in which the entire world operates, like Simon mentioned, there's a lot of people that are unbanked and there's a lot of other things happening, and we don't really experience our funds being frozen here in the Western world, except if you're in Canada and you're dealing with a lot of political things going on. Maybe you do get your funds frozen like they did, or earlier or late last year. And that's just a prime example of what can happen when you have the government involved in your finances. So anything to add to that? I guess the point was just understanding how important blockchain technology is, and the building block on which the entire Web3 world is being built upon: cryptocurrencies, NFTs, and so forth. So, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'll add to that in that you're right. There is a whole bunch of new terminology that sprung into fruition. But there's also a whole bunch of terminology that already existed, which just transferred across from the financial markets. So it's kind of, in a way, it's learning a new language when you have to start talking about financial systems. 5 years ago, I didn't know how to look at the trading graph either, but now I can understand that very well. So it's a learning process of a whole bunch of different things, but it's just, it's fairly superficial. Like, terms like, degen, yield farming, all those kind of things. It's fairly superficial, and you figure that out stuff pretty easily. So you can't be intimidated by some small jargon that goes around just to explain some things. But blockchain is an entirely new asset class. It's an entirely new technology, really. So there was going to be new terms. There's going to be new things that didn't exist before. So that just kind of makes sense that would be there. I think those are very surface level issues. And if you're held back by not understanding the small differences in language, that's a small amount of time to dig into that and actually figure that stuff out.
A small little plug. I do have a mini dictionary called The Words of Web3 that I will put in the show notes that you can easily download. It's 11 pages of all different words defined for the Web3
11 pages.
Yeah. 11 pages, yes.
It sounds about right. But yeah, it's fairly superficial, I feel that. So once you go past that and you start learning a few more other things that's going on there, look, the technology is there to stay. And it's kind of like, when mobile phones came along, people didn't know they existed at first. People know those big, huge 80s brick phones because of movies. No one actually really knew they existed back then. Just like when Bitcoin first came around, no one knew it except for, the cypherpunks that started with it. And then there's the infamous Bitcoin pizza that was bought, hundreds of $1 million worth of pizza now in today's value, but no one knew about it then. Yes. So it's kind of this process that the technology goes through. Everyone has a smartphone now. When the iPhone came out, it revolutionized how we did things. Yes. It was a progression of the mobile phone. So blockchain technology hasn't had that iPhone moment yet, I don't feel, where all of a sudden everyone just goes, oh my God, I want it, I need it, I have to have it. But we'll get there to that stage. And that's where the opportunity is now, because we've still got that large step gap to go through before we get to that, huge, massive moment where the entire world uses it. And just like mobile phones, I have no idea how the iPhone works. I have no idea about the technology that sits in behind it, but I just use it every day, and everyone does. And that's where blockchain will eventually get to, where it'll be so ingrained in our lives, we don't actually know it's there. But once that's there, the opportunity to make the money may not be there quite as much. The opportunity could have been missed by people if they hadn't got some exposure to the space.
Absolutely. So with that being said, do you have any speculation in terms of when you believe that large gap will be crossed in terms of mass adoption, public jumping in? Any speculations, guesses, how far we are? 5 years, 10 years, 3 years, 2?
Probably more like 10 years before it's really ingrained in us. I think there's probably definitely another big, huge crypto cycle to go through. People talked about how this time it was the institutions coming in, which was true. There's definitely some institutions in the space now, whereas 2017 was pretty much retail driven.
Right.
So I think we do have another cycle to go through. It'll be different again, like the last one was, because I think this time now with institutions and bigger players in there, they take profits far more frequently and early than retail. Retail hold on because they want to turn the $1,000 into $10,000, $100,000, whatever it is. Whereas big players, if they're sitting there with $20 million in Bitcoin and then Bitcoin goes up by 50%, they're happy to take $10 million off the table. So
Absolutely.
that changes the market when you've all of a sudden got bigger players with different risk management priorities. So I do believe that we have another big cycle with us. After that, it's too far out to really project. But I think it won't be entirely mainstream until Bitcoin and maybe some Ethereum and some others start losing that volatility. I think that holds a huge retail coming into the space to use it as a technology rather than using it as a speculation. The volatility needs to die down before it becomes just a general use case, technology.
I definitely want to get on to the mindset piece, but you said something there, and I'm doing this live on this show right now with you, so we're going to talk about this. So I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist by any means. I haven't talked to one. I don't know if you are, but I have some interesting perspectives on Bitcoin and questions. I don't know that if you would be able to answer or if you know some of information that I don't. But so Bitcoin, right? I feel like everybody who has Bitcoin, you mentioned the, institutions that are willing to like take, put 20 million in and take 10 million off the table. So Bitcoin is exchanging hands a lot because people are selling or people are buying. What I don't see with Bitcoin, because a lot of people who are buying are really hanging on to it and holding it. And for those of you who don't know, there is only going to ever be 21 million Bitcoin ever in the world. In the lifespan of Bitcoin, 21 million. We're at 19 million plus that have been quote unquote mined. Mined just means that it's now like circulating in the supply. But if everybody's holding it, if I have 10 million and you have 10 million and someone else has a million, like, how are we going to ever transact with it? How does it ever hold value if everybody's hodling onto their Bitcoin? That's like an interesting question, right?
Yeah, so it goes down to the question of what is a store of value,
Right.
and what is money. So people used to think that holding cash was a good store of value. Inflation, I think, is opening people's minds that maybe just holding cash is not that good of a store of value. And so then people say, okay, what else is there? Well, the other traditional store of value was gold. And so gold does retain its value over time. There is an inflation amount of gold because we keep digging it up out of the ground. So there is a continual amount of gold coming into existence, but it gets kind of consumed by people who want to hold on to it. It goes into a little bit of jewelry and stuff like that. So when it comes to Bitcoin, what makes it hold value? It's the same as the reason that cash and gold retain value, is that people perceive it to be valuable. And it is a measurement, just like money. It is a measurement of, storage of wealth. So your time or effort into something is valuable. So if you can earn Bitcoin, they measure that in your terms of productivity or services or goods. So it becomes money in the basic perception of it. So if people want to hold on to it, it's because they're saying, I have held on to this, I've earned this, and people perceive it valuable. So will it be transacted as cash? And people always talk about that. That's always the big question, is that, do people end up transacting in Bitcoin? I don't know the answer to that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be that. It may be what it is today, which is literally just a store of value, which is literally just digital gold. There are other things out there that are proving to be better forms of transacting, like stablecoins. Stablecoins seem to be the second biggest, item that's, blockchain's been good for, is the stablecoins. That's why there's like 3 of them in the top 10 coins. So maybe that just becomes the thing that we transact with because it's better than the existing payment systems. I don't know, but I do believe that Bitcoin will retain its value simply because everybody who uses the system realizes that the trustless basis of it, the ease of transactions of it, makes it a valuable way of storing your wealth. So if we don't mine anymore, which we will eventually get to, the miners still make money through transactions. So, it's not free when you send Bitcoin from one person to another. There is a transaction fee involved in that. And so in the future, when there is no more Bitcoin being issued from the mining, they will be making money from transactions. So, the system should still be in place as long as everyone still believes it to be valuable.
Thank you for answering that. That second that second answer that you just had about the once it's all mined, people will still be, validators or miners on the network will still be earning funds through the transaction fee. Because I always thought about that too. Like, well, what's going to happen to the network? What's going to happen to all the validators if it is finished. So thank you for that. That was very
Well,
helpful.
Visa and MasterCard, they make money
Yeah.
for percentage take of the transaction, don't
Yeah.
they? There's no
Yeah.
there's no money from them just doing it other than charging onto you. So that's what the Bitcoin miners will eventually do, is they just charge it onto you.
Yeah, that one thing I do have to say about that. So Visa, MasterCard, when you swipe your credit card, let's say you go to Starbucks or the local coffee shop, you swipe your credit card, Visa, MasterCard is getting a percentage of that, but then so is the transactional terminal that Starbucks is using. So there's like a lot of hands in the pocket, so to speak, of getting those transaction fees, where Bitcoin transactions, what Simon is saying, is just straight like me and Simon sending money and a miner getting a transaction fee. So there's like one other person involved.
Yeah, it's taking out the middleman.
Yes.
Because the middleman makes it inefficient.
Right.
And then for the savings go to the customer and the user. There's, as you say, it goes through Visa, then it goes through one bank, and then it's got to go to the other bank, and then there's all these people in the middle taking a cut out of it.
Right.
But they're taking a cut because they're providing a service.
Yeah.
Whereas cryptocurrency has the ability to take out all those middlemen, so that makes it cheaper for people to do.
And do it on a global scale, right? Like it's not a bunch of wire transfers or Western Union fees or all sorts of things. If I want to send funds to Australia or to the United States and back and forth, there's a lot less, like you're saying, fees involved in that. So very cool. Thank you.
The best analogy I've ever said to try and say why blockchain technology actually works is you sit there and go, well, we live in this modern world. You're in the US, I'm in Australia. We can send instant messages to each other instantly through whatever messaging app.
WhatsApp. Yep.
Simple. You can send emails instantly. If I wanted to send you money, all of a sudden everyone goes, well, you can't.
It's like 5 days. Yeah.
We got to do exchanges between Australian dollars and US dollars. There's banks involved. There's all these fees. There's who actually sends it through. People just go, oh my God, it's so hard. But we live in a world where we can instantly send information. So it just makes sense that shouldn't we live in a world where we can instantly send value to each other? It's just the progression of the internet, it's the progression of technology that we've broken down all barriers of information, being able to get to each other instantaneously. So money should be able to be transferred instantaneously as well. And that's what blockchain does.
I love it. That is the greatest analogy. I'm going to probably use that quote when I share this post, because that is, yes, hands down. So, okay. So getting back to what you do as an investment manager and helping people, coaching people through cryptocurrency, obviously, investment mindset is so important, but how important is it really? And then what are you helping people, what old mentality are you helping them break through to kind of come into a space where they feel like they're making rational decisions investment wise? Like I always say, invest with conviction, not with emotion. So if you've researched a coin or you've researched a project, thorough research, and everything about it, and you're putting money into it, regardless of what somebody says on YouTube or your friend down the street or your sister's boyfriend's cousin, you have conviction in that project regardless of what happens. So how important is that, shifting that mindset from to being over here on the winning side?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely crucial. People can't make life-changing amounts of money without changing how their mind works. Take out crypto entirely. Let's take crypto out. Investing in general, making money in general, it's not about the vehicle. So, crypto is the vehicle that I like to teach because it's the one I'm really passionate about. But to make wealth, to be successful, you can use any vehicle as long as your mindset is there. So in crypto, everyone laughs about wanting to buy a Lambo, when Lambo kind of memes that go on.
Yeah.
I guess the thing is, if you don't believe that you can achieve a Lambo, then you won't get it. If you don't believe that you can make $1,000, $100,000, then you won't get it. You need to change the way you think about money, change the way that you think you deserve money to be able to find the ability to do that. So if you don't, raise the thermostat level of your mind, if your mind is only ever set to, 80 degrees, to get to 100 degrees, you need to change how you think about it. Otherwise, you could, win the lottery, but you'll end up losing all that money anyway because you're not primed and mindset available to retain that wealth. I always like to sit there and say that, what's your why? What's your why to make money? Because that is the driving force and the emotion behind it that will help you achieve those kind of goals. So for me, for example, again, I think I mentioned earlier, is that it was for my kids. I didn't want my kids to go to school and then in the school holidays, me not be able to be there because I had to work. So I had this real drive behind me, and that allowed me to say, okay, to do this, I need X amount of dollars. I need to have X amount of income to be able to achieve that dream, that goal. And that opened my mind to how I could get it there. So crypto became my vehicle. So because I was looking for a specific, dream, I was able to find the path to that through crypto. I was able to sit there and say, okay, I can buy this, I can move this here, I can, earn yield through this one. It opens your mind to being able to do that. So I'd sit there and say that if you can't raise your mindset to be, willing to bring in the money, then you won't get there.
Right.
And I will add is also that, being wealthy is not just money. Money is just one part of it. There's other things, family, friendship, connections. These are hugely important to be a wealthy person in my mind. But I'm also a realist, and that money helps in,
in all those other aspects. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. So very, very great points, definitely in mindset, because mindset, just like you said, financially is a big piece, but mindset with all aspects of life is very important too. The way you view things, you can look at a situation as being, this is a horrible situation, or you can look at a situation and go, what is the lesson to be gained in all of this? And bringing it back to, cryptocurrency and Web3 and blockchain and all of that, in terms of mindset, like getting someone comes to you, and says, Simon, I see what you're doing in Web3. I see all this stuff, cryptocurrency. Like, I want to learn more. What are your beginning steps with someone? You don't have to go through the whole coaching, because definitely I want people to connect with you and get coaching from you. But just kind of more generally speaking, like, what would be those next steps that you would take with somebody who's saying, hey, I need some assistance, or I need help. I want to get to where you're at. So yes, we can start with the why and help them really kind of get that clear picture. Now they got that clear why in their head. What is like a next step progression?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So I think when it comes to getting into crypto, people walk into a new financial system, and as we said, there's whole new terms and whole new knowledge about it. I guess what people have to understand is that if you're investing your money, this is not gambling. You need to actually take this quite strategically.
Yeah.
And so I think crypto is very much so a thing where people think I put $100 in and I'll be a millionaire by the end of the year. That's just not the case. So I sit there and say, look, if you want to get to, life-changing amounts of money, and that's different for everyone, you need to have a plan. We're investing here. We're using your hard-earned money to try and make more money. So treat it with respect. Treat your money with respect, and have a plan, have an action plan, and have a strategy. I think most people can get stuck in crypto, and they'll in the last year, people have probably bought something and gone through the euphoric stages of going up a lot of money, and then they've just held on, and it's just gone all the way back down to virtually nothing now in a lot of the altcoins. So That's not a good strategy.
No.
People always talk about in crypto, just hodl. And that's okay. That's a good plan for probably Bitcoin and Ethereum if you're going to hold them for 5 or 10 years and not look at the price. But most people can't do that. Most people still look at the price daily. In times when it's going really bad or really good, it's hourly. And that's not great for your mind either. But you need the strategy and the plan behind it to be able to, take advantage of the situation. So I think that's the main thing that I would sit there and say to someone who's getting into it, is that treat your money with respect. You are investing, you're not gambling. So have a strategy, have a plan of what you're doing with it. And that's the key. I think that's the real key from going from just being a speculator who's gambling in crypto to actually going, I'm going to use this as a vehicle for wealth.
Absolutely. That is amazing. I love that. Anything you'd like to add before, because I'm going to ask you the final question that I love asking all my guests, but anything you want to add before we wrap up?
I would just say that, crypto is an amazing vehicle to make money. It's an amazing asset class for people to learn about the financial system. So I think that it's an opportunity that we don't get, in most people's lifetime, to be able to, find this entirely new asset class. So
yes,
for me, it's really interesting, and it's obviously something I'm very passionate about. But for people who don't find it very interesting or very passionate about, I'd say don't just sit on the sidelines. Though you can still get some exposure and still make some pretty amazing opportunities for yourself just by buying some Bitcoin, some Ethereum, and having that long-term vision. So this is not for people who are nerdy and just love the idea of statistics and numbers and stuff. This is actually for anybody to really make some changes in their life. So yeah, don't be put off by it. Take some action, get yourself involved, and you'll be rewarded in the long term.
Definitely, Simon. Those were amazing points. I tell my listeners that a lot of times. We are at the precipice of the most amazing, epic, life-changing thing in my mind, because I am very passionate about this space as well, just like you. And I can see it. Like we're like looking out to the horizon and it's coming, and you want to kind of yell from the rooftops and go, come on, people, come on, and so you get to some people are like, oh gosh, Dr. Brook's gone wild. What's going on with her? She needs to calm down. But the understanding that this is like, I'm 38 years old. I've witnessed, I came into the internet when I was like, I would say I came into the internet when I was around 17. I know the internet came out before then, but that was before, we had AOL Messenger and we were on there, dial up internet and all of these things. Like I wasn't at the age where I could kind of be at that precipice of the internet, like Web 1 coming on board, right? And I was totally on the sidelines sleeping with the whole Web 2 movement in social media and building brands and personal, like all of it. Like I didn't know anything about, I was just like, what, Facebook? So this is a time, like guys, that like we have an opportunity. Web 1, if you don't know, was just a lot of just content being pushed at you, something you can read. It was read only. You could not interact with the internet. Web 2 was interacting with the internet. Web 3 is actually having ownership of a part of that internet and being able to capitalize financially on that ownership aspect of it. So just like Simon said, I love that. Simon says, just like Simon says, it is, such an amazing, amazing time. And even if you're sitting on the sidelines and not as passionate as we are about it, you would do yourself a huge favor just to even do like a crypto 101 or, some video or some class that you can take to get some sort of understanding so you don't get left behind when that big freight train comes flying through. So don't say we didn't warn you. So, yeah. Cool. Well, Simon, I really appreciate your time being here. And I love asking my guests so there's like 800 plus different blockchains out in the marketplace, that people can get so confused about. But ideally, like, do you have a favorite blockchain specifically that you are all in on and you love the products that they're building on top of and whatnot?
Yeah, it's a great question. Answer is no, I don't have a favorite. I think people want to know which one's going to win. Which blockchain is going to be, the one that's going to be there forever. I don't think we're going to have that many different blockchains in the future, but I agree. But I do think there's going to be multiple blockchains. I don't think, we're going to have just Ethereum. Ethereum's not going to kill everything else. I don't think like a Solana is going to come and kill Ethereum. I think there is a world where we have compromises between the different blockchains. We're going to have decentralization versus transactions per second. These are always, I guess, the differences between the blockchains that people are going to have to take concessions of. It's not as simple as this one does everything for everyone. So there's going to be different use cases and different purposes. I think we're still in a world right now where every blockchain just kind of goes, oh, well, DeFi was really big, so we'll build DeFi on our blockchain. And NFTs now big, so we'll build NFTs on our blockchain.
Right.
And that's great. Everyone's experimenting with the same things. We're still in this, innovation explosion period. Mm-hmm. But I think we'll get to the point where someone sits there and goes, well, this specific application of blockchain works better when I have these higher transactions per second, and that blockchain there, which is, little less decentralized, is okay. So I think that's where we're going to be. So I don't have a favorite blockchain. I think there's plenty of them out there. There's plenty of opportunities. And I think the market will decide which ones work best for what programs and what protocols. So that's the excitement and the research that you got to put in is just trying to figure out, well, which one is going to be and what's it going to be, what's going to be the best use case for each different blockchain. And that's the future for us. I think there's going to be interoperability. You're going to be able to transfer files between Apple and Windows. They communicate a little bit now. And that's kind of like bridging between different blockchains. The blockchains realize they've got to work together to a degree, but some of them are good. It's the whole apples and oranges kind of thing. They're both fruit. One's an apple, one's an orange. So they're doing different things. Yeah. I think that's the future. So don't go all in on any one of them, because I think that's just a bad idea in general. But don't be a maxi on any of them, because I don't think, there's no guarantee that any of them are going to survive. The probabilities of Bitcoin and Ethereum are pretty high now. They will survive, but don't go all in on any of them. That's just a bad idea. It's a bad investment strategy in general. But don't be thinking that there's only going to be one winner. I think there's going to be multiple winners.
I definitely agree with you. I think there's going to be more than one winner in the grand scheme of things. But there are, even with that, you've used Apple and Windows. I like to use the analogy of Apple and Android, right? You have the Google phones, the LGs. So you have these two different, products. And some people are all Apple. Like, I will only have the iPhone, or I will only have the Android. And for me personally, I am like diehard Apple. Not their computers, ironically, which is funny. I don't even know how to operate a Mac really well. I'm like, what button do you push? But iPhone, I can operate that iPhone like none other. And so when I ask if there's a favorite, which you answer the question much like a parent would answer a question like, who's your favorite child?
Everyone's my favorite.
So because I do have my own personal favorite blockchain, but we won't talk about that right now. So but I do think that there will be multiple winners in the long game. And I do not think, like you said, that there will be 800 plus different blockchains in the market in terms of being able to make money. There might be a lot of other private blockchains that companies use, for their internal stuff, but there's not going to be 800 some public blockchains. No way.
Yeah, but keep it in perspective of the strategy and the plans involved. As you say, there are thousands of different tokens out there and lots of different blockchains out there. So we say there will be multiple winners, but there's going to be a lot of losers as well. So that's where the strategy comes into it. That's why if you're new to the space, Bitcoin and Ethereum are probably just your best bets, because they're probably tested. They've run the test of time. Whereas so many others, they haven't been proven. So that's where people can get caught out thinking that, they're all going to be like those two. The answer is they're not. So while you can make amazing amounts of money, you need that plan, because not all of them are going to make lots of money. They could make a lot of money and then they could lose it all for you. So that's where a plan comes into it. Sit there and say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't go too far out on the risk bands of taking too much extreme risk on some really random altcoins. That's where plans got to come into place, because you can lose money in this just as much as you can make money.
Right. Absolutely. And even if they seem very stable, like Terra Luna, going all the way as, high as over $100, they can come crashing down to be nothing. So be careful of that. For those of you who may not know what happened, you can just simply research Terra Luna and figure out what occurred there. So understand that there is amazing, incredible opportunities in this space. There are incredible risks to be, avoided. You're not going to get out of this scotch-free. You will have some bumps and bruises along the way, but that is the beauty of getting into the rabbit hole and really learning. And you're going to be really quickly educated through those little bruises that you might, experience along the way. But you will be vastly, greatly rewarded, just like Simon was also saying here today. So awesome. Well, where can people get in contact with you? How can they reach out? And, I will make sure to put things put links and everything in the show notes so that they can connect, but just verbally, tell everybody as well.
Yeah, sure. So I'm active on Instagram, Twitter. So Instagram is investment_mindset, investment_mindset_AUS, or you can check out my website, investmentmindset.net. And there you'll get the links to the Twitter and the Facebook accounts as well. I'm pretty active on there, giving out a lot of mindset messages and little bits of educations and tips. And if you want to look at the website to hear about my upcoming programs that I've got coming, I'm starting new ones soon. So if anyone's interested, go check that out on the website.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Simon. And with that being said, we are closing out the show. The ride is coming to a halt. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for taking a trip around the block with us. You made it. Congratulations. That wasn't so bad, was it? I hope you laughed and learned a little bit more about this Web3 universe and how simple and fun it can really be. Would you be so kind as to leave us a review and share it with your friends and family? It would mean so much to get this out to more people as we embark on the greatest transfer of wealth that has ever happened in human history. Can't wait to see you on the next one.